Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. We're trying something new today. This is a Conquest video, and I don't have the clearest idea of what it is that I want to do with this. We're going to figure it out over the next couple days. So what I think we are going to do is each day we're going to do a sector. That's how I generally try to play things. With the past couple of Conquests, we have done a talk video, which I'll put in a card in the corner, and with those Conquest videos I broke down the Datadisks and the squads I was planning to use prior to the beginning of Conquest. And one of the things that I've emphasized is I try to avoid cheesing. I don't consider it very efficient. If you are able to get all of the feats done, or try to get as much progress on the feats as possible during your initial playthrough. So that's what I want to show here, is how I'm trying to tackle these sectors every single day. Not every single day, the first 5 days. And part of it is I also go kind of dead on this channel when Grand Arena is not going on, and I want to try and avoid that. But also for me to be able to do this, we're probably going to minimize the amount of editing and the amount of planning that goes into these. I'm not just going to show you the data disks I selected, but also what my options were. And one thing that was a little annoying here is we do have new data disks, but CG didn't give us that update post. So I went into this expecting that these disks were the same as last season. Otherwise I would have broke it down in that talk video I posted. And I would have planned a little bit more accordingly. Now what you can see here is we have one of the new ones, Undercover. We also have Fortified. And in this moment with this new one, Undercover, I think is potentially pretty interesting, but and with Ruthless Swiftness, I usually don't even end up using those. So this, even though it's gray, I went with Fortified because that one I at least know and I like. And it gives me a decent foundation to begin with. And with our first set of choices along the challenge path, we got some very tough options because we have a blue Solid Intel, one of the newer ones, and then we have Blindside and Stacking Fervor. And both Blindside and Stacking Fervor are data disks that I target. Blindside is great with assisting characters, particularly with the feats that we have, like the resistance feat in Sector 1, or those Master Qui-Gon, Padawan, Obi-Wan feats. Blindside is going to be fantastic with because of all the assisting. Also Stacking Fervor, because Stacking Fervor, you are gaining offense with the assists, with attacks out of turn, and that's very powerful with the types of feats that we're going after in this Conquest. And apparently I didn't click on the other node to see what was even there. I think I got so distracted by these data disks, and I end up going with the Solid Intel because it's a blue. It looks pretty good. It gives turn meter, and that I felt safe with. With the middle nodes, I had some pretty terrible choices. There's an Amplify Agony, but it's gray. That would be tempting. We have a Heal Over Time, which is going to pair nicely with Queen Amidala, Padawan, Obi-Wan. And then in the bottom, we had a green Fortified, which is tempting. But I decide here that even though I like that Heal Over Time, I was going to go with the green Fortified because I just want to improve on this gray one. The gray one I'm not happy with. I'm definitely going to get rid of it at some point. I don't even want to use it. The green's at least an improvement if we don't ever see a blue. Our next split options, this is where the hilarious joke happens. We get a blue Fortified. In the lower area, we have an interesting combo here. Certain Defeat and Undercover. Both of these look great to me. The Certain Defeat in particular with the Protection Disruption sounds very powerful. Protection Disruption is a great mechanic. And Undercover, that's going to really help, especially if you have a weaker roster with less relics. Undercover is probably going to add a bunch of survivability. It might be great taking some of these 3-star characters that even I'm using, like your Padawan Obi-Wans, your Master Qui-Gons. That has a lot of value, especially if you're trying to stretch what your roster can do in order to gold crate or red crate. But when I see a blue Fortified to start off this Grand Arena, or not Grand Arena, this Conquest, I opted for it. It was a tough thing for me to say no to, even though I had already grabbed 2 other ones. I may live to regret this, but what I'm hoping for is that we get blue options of the other ones and the green ones were going to become irrelevant. This is early enough in Conquest where I decided to gamble with it, even though I I grabbed 3 fortifieds in this first set, which is completely ridiculous. And after the final boss, we don't get anything nice. We get another blue fortified, which is just the ultimate joke on myself, where we skip some good ones because we get a blue fortified and then we get an option for another. We get another opportunity for that thing. So I just grabbed this blue unstable decelerator and just deal with it. I'm not going to show any of Sector 2 today. I didn't play any yet, but we do. I just go grab that first data disk right away and they're terrible. Potency calibration doesn't do anything for me. Ability fatigue I'm not interested in. So I grabbed the protection shield. That at least in that green and blue versions I like. I'm front loading all of the useful information. I don't want you hunting around this video trying to figure things out. Everything that comes after is just going to be gameplay and thoughts. But what I think is going to be most interesting to most viewers, this is all up front. You don't have to watch. So the feats, this is the progress that I made. This is with the 350 crystal refreshes and 100 crystal refresh. I was trying to force things with stamina on the resistance and we dropped a few battles. So this is something I talked about in that talk video about this conquest that I released 2 days ago, where yes, these feats are technically easier. They're lower counts, but the big thing that I was speculating on during that time, and it has proven out so far, is that even though this might seem like it's easier, I do think it is going to be more difficult to finish all of your feats in a single play through the sector. And that is because just mathematically, there's not enough nodes to accomplish all of these things simultaneously, because there's a few things going on. You have your resistant feats, you have to use a resistant squad. You could technically try and mix in your Mandalorians and Ewoks, but you'd probably drop stars, and that's not going to be as efficient. And then the evasion up, that buff doesn't overlap with Mandalorians, Ewoks, or resistance units. Now, there's other ways you can mix in evasion up. Seventh Sister in particular is very useful to getting that buff and making progress towards that feat. But also what I'm trying to do at all times is make progress on as many feats as possible. So you'll see that in the playthrough. And with the global feats, I was using Jedi Knight Kestis with a JML squad. That is actually a feat that was able to overlap with the evasion up feat, which is why I used it as much as I did. And then I threw in a Master Qui-Gon Padawan Obi-Wan feat, also because this one does overlap with the evasion up very well, Padawan Obi-Wan in particular. And then Dark Trooper Moff Gideon was the middle boss node. But I didn't attempt any other global feats because a lot of those are going to happen later. Like tomorrow, you're going to see a lot of Creks happen because Rebel Fighters is one of the defeat feats. Also, you're in Sector 5, there's another opportunity with Phoenix characters. And then we're going to see the same thing with the Queen Amidala, with the Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan. There's Sector 3 opportunities, there's Sector 5 opportunities. And then with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, you can see here Sector 2, Sector 3 is where I expect to be making a lot of the progress towards this global feat. So I'm not using squads here that I don't think are going to be as efficient if I were to use them later. What I did instead use, we have Bodalore. So this I actually used a ton of. We actually beat this feat pretty early. And that's because I just kept hitting Darth Revan nodes. And this was, of the feats that we were working on, this was my best solution to Darth Revan. Ewoks I used only on a couple nodes, and I tried to get done with the resistance as much as possible. And you can see I have weaker resistance. I don't have Rey. And these two squads, though, they did pretty well. Although this JTR squad, this did drop stars, whereas the Finn one did not. Although I did fail attempts with the Finn squad, trying to force it in situations with the lower stamina, it was going to struggle. And then final boss. The final boss was pretty easy. I just updated this for the team I actually used. Seventh Sister is going to really help with the evasion up, and this is a good opportunity to double up on both the node feat and the sector feat. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon with Scout was the mini boss, and with the other mini boss, and final boss feats. One was a light side, one was non-Empire. Both of those were accomplished with this JML squad, although I didn't use this variant in this sector. Old Ben was in the preset for a future sector. In this sector, I used Luminara, and that is because Luminara on basic grants evasion up. And even though it's only a single evasion up, if you watch the footage, what you're going to see me is always calling in Luminara for the assist so that I can be making progress on that feat. And over time, it's going to add up. And with the JML squad, with all these other relic characters, the chances that I was going to lose Luminara were pretty low. So that sets me up for really quick 2 battles for the Resistance and several more battles of Ewoks. Ewoks I will just end up doing on the Bad Batch node for the Datacron materials, but I may also throw them up against like this Imperial Trooper node, or I also have this Night Sister node somewhere, and I'm just going to wait to do that when I have better data disks. Data disks that like Zealous Ambition or Stacking Fervor or whatever, that are just going to make quicker work of these things. I'm not going to spend the time doing them now. I always recommend you get through all these sectors first, get the better data disks, then come back. Now in terms of these nodes, most of them are 3 out of 3. I did drop this one here. This was JTR. I did drop another one over here. This is another one using JTR up against Grievous. And that was it. Oh, actually, no, there's one more here. This one, oh, this was Queen Amidala. This is where I used Queen Amidala to win. Fortunately, I did not lose Padawan, Obi-Wan, or Master Qui-Gon, so I made progress towards the global feat. I did lose Luminara in that battle. It's actually a pretty interesting one. So we're going to switch over to the gameplay. You don't need to watch that. I will give some thoughts, some of how I was approaching things. I might cut some of it out because there's redundant battles in there, and it's all going to be accelerated, so I don't even know how useful watching it's going to be, but we're figuring out whatever this video wants to be. Actually, I think in the spirit of front loading the content that I think matters, I'm just going to splice this out of the gameplay footage and throw it in front, and then the other gameplay that we talk over will just be at the end. So this one, let's just show this. At this point, we basically what is going on? At this point, we just have a bunch of fortified data disks, or we have 1 fortified data disk and something. So just target Calcestis, target Calcestis, because he's the one keeping everybody alive. And do I need to accelerate this footage? No, we're good. So this takes a while, but as soon as he falls, everything else falls. So we're staying focused on him. You can see it takes a little while. It's really Scout Trooper doing a lot of the damage. You can see the Dark Trooper is not doing too much. He's here because these are the only relic, the Imperial Remnant characters that I have. Like I don't have Stormtrooper. You can see the progress that we're making, but almost all. Why didn't I do the armor shred? Okay. So you can see like nothing is really happening. Call a bunch of assists, make not even much progress, but that ability, the first special with Scout Trooper, every time we have it, we're making progress. Second armor shred. You'll see next turn we make some more progress. That we finally get through the protection. Boom, Calcestis is down. Now you can see all that protection up. That bonus protection is gone. We AoE take out Malicos. Hit Scav. Fulcrum. Now we can target Seer Junda. And it falls apart. Yeah, now I'll show you the light side attempt, which I did after I beat the sector. And at this point, we had used JML and Cal Kestis a bunch of times. You can see we're at 65% stamina. I think maybe I kept Old Ben. Yeah, I think I kept Old Ben. It just didn't matter to me at this point. You could have swapped in anybody. I was already done with the evasion up feat, so there's no need to bring in Luminara at this point. But if you weren't done, that would certainly be an option. Yeah, so we get in these attacks. Same deal as with the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon attempts. I am going after Cal Kestis because you can see everybody's got that bonus protection. I'm not being very careful about the inherited teachings. All I really want is to get defeats with Cal Kestis, with Jedi Knight. And same deal now that Cal is gone. We're making a lot of damage. I didn't think that was going to happen. Like, we lose a couple defeats that I would have liked to have had. And then you see me, I target here because Fulcrum is full health. I take her out with the instant defeat, and then we go back to Jedi Knight to take out Malicos. Now we just start picking away at Ser Junda, and then I just start bringing in Cal Kestis for everything. I don't want to chance it, so every assist getting called. Right now we'll take a look at the final boss. With the final boss node, we are first attempting the Admiral Thrawn version. And I did get Lord Vader like 2 months ago at this point, so this becomes fairly easy for me. I don't think it's all that difficult regardless. Like, Lord Vader is just going to make this a no doubt win. I think Inquisitors or even a Palp lead, there's other ways through this. And they just kind of start falling apart. But I bring in Seventh Sister to finish off Evasion Up. I think I only needed 3 more at this point. I didn't need a lot. But she grants it to everybody. You could also have thrown her into other squads. I didn't do that because I didn't want to chance weakening a squad and losing stars by trying to incorporate her. Especially when I didn't think it was necessary. Yeah, so we get in these hits. Hit the alt. And they're just dying from dots. This was easy. This was a weirdly... I don't know why CG's made things so easy this Conquest. And with Attempt 2, we're doing a similar thing. You can see this came right after that mini-boss battle. They're now at 55%. I'm going to swap in Jedi Knight Revan, though, because everybody's weaker. And also because we got Darth Vader lead with the dots. Now we can't cleanse the dots, but I wanted to speed things up. And that's what Darth Revan brings. I was hoping we would increase cooldowns on Darth Revan or on Darth Vader and prevent him from putting the dots down, but that didn't turn out to be the case. We still got the dots. But you can see we're swapping now, getting more turn meter, and trying to move quickly through Vader. I'm calling in Cal with every assist, but still, he didn't get the knockout on Vader. But we are still going to get like 3 or 4 defeats with Cal. I don't do the swap because it would have taken out somebody. So I'm just... everything is prioritizing getting defeats with Cal Kestis. And he's down. With our first node, we get a nice gift here. This is Old Republic squad. This, a Finzori squad. Even my Finzori with a mix of Gear 12, Gear 11 characters is going to make quick work of. We got Zori, Finn, and Resistance Poe here. They are all at Gear 11. I like to have Poe in the squad. I know some people use other variants. This is the one that I like to go with. Rose, I think, really is valuable and should be there. Now here, I'm going to target Canderous, because Canderous, I think, is the one who can mess things up. I probably should have used the first special, but I got in the habit of using the second special because of Conquest and these types of feats, because if you have Blindside paired with that, or stacking Fervor paired with that, just using the third one and making sure you take somebody out quick is very useful. Now, I don't have those Datadisks right now, so it wasn't really benefiting me to use that ability in that order. And so you'll, if you continue to watch this, you'll see me switch out that process. You can see we just crushed this node to start. This is also why build wide rosters. This next node, we get a gas, which means we can't mess around with it. You can see me taking a look at some feats here. And so I'm just going to use Bodalore. I'm not messing around. Just take something strong, get through it. We hit Skywalker. Get him close to going down to his knees. Probably should have went with the protection up. Call the assist with Bo. We're targeting 5s, trying to get him down quick. Then almost take out a few others. I could probably have switched to like the other Bo-Katan. I don't even know if we're going to show these entire battles. Yeah, we get in those few hits. Take out Rex. Echo. And then Ahsoka, and we're basically done with this. And boom, he's gone. So this is why I'm always going after new content. Because especially with Conquest and how important Conquest is, what's going on with raids these days, with galactic challenges, everything is tailored towards new characters and content. You really benefit from going after it quick. Now with Darth Revan, this is another one where I don't want to mess around. I'm just going to use Bo-Katan. And this is where Bo-Katan became very helpful. I wasn't looking ahead. I just play through the challenge path. I don't even look at other nodes. Now, I wouldn't... That's because I do have a roster that can benefit from that. From earlier in Conquest, during the Cat Conquest or the Maul Conquest, before a challenge path really existed, I did look for other nodes and made a different strategy because my roster at that point was a lot weaker. And I would look for nodes that were going to be more favorable for feats. I've now transitioned to a point where I don't think that is something that I need to worry as much about, so I just don't even look. But there are certain feats with certain squads that I might consider it. Like, you always want to get like a Phoenix. You always want like a Night Sister or even a Trooper's nodes. Those nodes are always helpful in every sector because they really benefit cheesing certain feats. Rebel, Mon Mothma squads too. They can really help with certain feats. Yeah, but you can see we got Darth Revan again. I'm not going to keep showing these because we seriously have like 5 in a row Darth Revan squads. It might actually be like 3, then something, and then another, but you'll see. We're going to skip ahead after we get through this battle. I think what we'll do is we'll show the final Darth Revan squad because I want you to see me attack it depleted with stamina. But we're not going to show all the other ones. There's different variants, like we get Bastila Fallen a couple times, sometimes we don't. But there's only so many times you can watch Baudelaire versus Darth Revan. I do think at some point I attempt to use something else. Maybe not. No, I think I did. Definitely. So again, the next node, we got Darth Revan. And the next node along the challenge path is also... Or that's not even the challenge path. Or it's not the option yet. Again, Darth Revan. And this one I'll actually show because I decided to change it up. I decided I was going to give Queen Amidala a chance. This was reckless. But this, one of the reasons I'm showing this, even though it's a loss, is I want to make a point. If you are using a squad that works towards one of your sector feats, whether it be defeat characters or get a buff or debuff, do not retreat. Because you will still, in most cases, unless you have to win the battle, you will make progress towards the feat. Now with this one, I was hoping the decoy was going to help, and I figured with Deathmark going onto Padme, she was going to be tough enough to take it. And we also have Luminara here who can help with the evasion up. But what you see is just they don't do enough damage. But this is where stacking Fervor or even Blindside would be really useful, because with Blindside, he'd have like 4 exposes and we would have been able to get through him. Or with stacking Fervor, with how much Padawan Obi-Wan is assisting, he would get his offense up even at 3 stars and start doing damage. Now you do see we get through the Trooper, but now we lost our attacker. Now I could have brought in somebody other than Shakti, but Shakti I put in the preset for some reason. I don't even know why. We could swap out Shakti for another attacker who could help. Like this would probably benefit from even like a gas. Gas would probably contribute something to this. We could have brought in the other Padme. That would have been fairly beneficial. You can see that we're starting to fall apart here. But we're not retreating because we're making progress towards the feat. And I'll show you how much progress towards the feat we make after this after this attempt. That should have been a basic. But I think I was just trying and hoping that if we took out Fallen, we might get lucky and actually beat this. Even though with Padawan Obi-Wan gone, with Pow gone, we aren't making progress towards the global feat. Still, if we're making progress through the sector, that's not wasting energy. Yeah, did I again use a special? Yeah, that's wasting Luminara's presence here. But once Qadme is gone, it's done. But for a bunch of Gear 11 characters, well, Shakti's not Gear 11, but everybody else is, they lasted a long time before things started to crumble. Yeah, I think we can skip ahead now. All right, here's the progress on the feats. You can see we got a good amount of progress on the light side Mandalorians because we had to use them so much. And now we've got evasion up, we got 7, and the resistance we are at 1. Now with this next portion here, I'm not going to mess around. We are going back to Bo-Katan Mandalore, but I'm not going to show that footage because we have more Darth Revans ahead. Oh, actually I didn't use it, so I am going to show the footage. What I did is I used our JML. I swapped in Luminara for the evasion up on her basic. And the way that I'm playing this is I'm calling the assists with Luminara. That's why she's getting Master's training, because I want as much of the evasion up as we can get. Now what I want is for CONQUEST to get the defeats. That doesn't always happen, but that's my goal. Yeah, so call the assist over on Marauder because he had the most health. Call Kestis for the defeat there. And then we're just making progress where I can. I was hoping that wasn't going to take out Darth Revan. It did. And then cast this for the defeat. And that gets us a little bit more progress on evasion. We get 3 more evasions. And we have progress on the global feat, which is right here. You can see what we're doing with the challenge path, and with CONQUEST we're at 4. Now with this next node we have Night Sisters. So with Night Sisters, I'm gonna bring in, I think I bring in I bring in Ewoks. Yeah, that's fine. This also would have been an option for Resistance. I just wanted to get some progress. Because I was trying to capture footage for the record, I did this all at once. So normally within Conquest, I'm playing this multiple points throughout the day, so my stamina has a chance to recharge, which would have made me a little bit more successful with some of those Finzori squads. But I started to really push the stamina on some of these characters. Like in my normal play, I don't like to fall below 70%. That's where I want to be. And that not only gives me an opportunity to recover a lot of stamina throughout the day, if those characters are needed for the next day in the next sector, puts me in that position where I can do it as well. So you can see we have Darth Revan again. This is the last Darth Revan, at least prior to the mini-boss, so I bring it back in Bo-Katan Mandalore. And she's just was the MVP of Sector 1. And not because of the feats, but just because I kept getting Darth Revan all the time. Because otherwise, I would be using characters for like global feats to try and get through this. Like, because if I was using like a BAM lead or a Bo-Katan lead, we're not getting through Darth Revan like that. Not with day 1 Datadisks. So she was allowing me to work on sector feats and make some progress. So that was very valuable. Yeah, and so here, the first Grievous, we're going to use JTR. I don't think we're going to show every, not even every battle, but I think, because we've already skipped several battles, what I think we're going to do is I'm going to show the bosses, because I think that's going to be relevant to people. And then some of these other ones we're just going to skip, unless I think they're particularly interesting. I think what we'll do is I'll show maybe the last battle of stamina, when the stamina is getting low, because we're already at 14 minutes of this kind of footage, and I don't think this, like, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't know if anybody wants this, and I don't know if I'm particularly interested in recording it. But the boss nodes will definitely do, and I'll look for some key battles. There's at least one battle with like Qadme that I think is worth showing. We'll show both boss feats because I did both of those today. But even at 2x speed, this is a lot. We got another 4 days of this. Yeah, so we get Illuminated Destiny. Take some hits. Boom. So, Holdo, because she's gear 12, I don't have many relic resistance characters, we lose a star. Not a big deal. Maybe I'll mention them. Next node is clones. We use Finn. Boss node, first attempt. What's going on here? And actually this Inquisitor battle is the only other one I find all that interesting. This one here, this is where we used the global feat with Qadme, Pow, and Master Qui-Gon. And we're accelerated, yeah. This was a little risky, but I decided to go with it anyway just because they don't have a ton of AoEs. They have an AoE from 8th Brother, 9th Sister, Grand Inquisitor has that Equalize, but there's not that many. And I felt like because Qadme does make a squad relatively tanky, it was worth risking. And it turned out to be the case that it was worth doing this. Now, I'm still working up on those evasion up feats, and this did not look very promising for a while. So I felt like even in a loss, we weren't going to retreat. We were just going to make the progress on that, on the sector feat, and be happy enough with that. And it takes a while, but this works out. And it's something where if we had better Datadisks, this would have been an easy one. Like with Blindside and Stacking Fervor, or even like a Booming Voice, we crush this, especially with a combination. If we were combining Blindside with Stacking Fervor, we would be doing some serious damage. I'm definitely going to be looking for those discs during this conquest for the next 3 months. But this will also get easier as we get more stars on POW. So we get those hits. You can see 9th Sister is getting close, but 7th Sister is going to heal soon and make everything sad and disappointing. With that AoE does some nice things. At some, I think around the 3-minute mark, I just decided to auto and see where we'd get. I even think I walked away. I think I was like cooking dinner while I hit auto on this. And then when I came back, I was surprised to see that they actually had made progress. And it'll happen soon. And you can see with the exposes that are happening. Oh, I walked back. I started managing things to see if anything else would happen. You can see Luminara is getting weak. She's got Torture. And we take out 7th. Because with the buff immunity, it gave us this window of opportunity. And then I went after Grand Inquisitor. And I autoed again because we were without any time. And then these AoEs from POW start knocking out characters. Now things are a little tenuous. You can see though some of the mechanics that are working here. Like we had another way of applying buff immunity, we would be managing 9th more, and we beat the node. We do 2 out of 3, but we beat the node. So let me know what you guys think about this experiment. We will do it for the week, reassess from there, and we'd only do this once every 3 months. We're not going to do this with each iteration of the conquest, just in the first conquest. So this might be something worth continuing on, but only if I feel like the interest is there. Thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.